Hey, this is Mike, and you're watching Real Black TV. Today we're with Brian and Bruce, the stars of the new movie Page One, A Year Inside the New York Times.
We're here to take note of the fact that journalism is alive and well and feisty, especially at the New York Times.
Hey, did you send it? He's lying. There's two A1 meetings. 10:30 where we discuss the stories of the day, what we're going to offer. It's kind of a competition. You go in there, we fight to get on A1.
We are the New York Times, and we are dictating terms. At the tender age of 31, I still had a year left to being the violent, drug-snorting thug before I found my way to this guy, the one with a family and a job at the New York Times.
Oh, good. My sources are starting to come out.
I don't know why anybody who's a reporter isn't on Twitter.
You see him at his desk, and he just embodies everything about new media.
I still can't get over the feeling that Brian Stelter was a robot assembled to destroy me.
You guys edit and write for the New York Times. What was it like making this film and throughout having somebody follow you for a year and doing reporting on you?
I was very nervous about it. Nobody wants to have somebody follow them all the time. I thought we might come off as vaguely ridiculous. As it turned out, very quickly, Andrew, the filmmaker, just sort of blended into the background. I didn't actually notice him. So when I finally saw the film, I was surprised. I remembered some of those conversations. I remembered some of those meetings. I didn't remember him being there, which I guess is a sign he was doing his job.
This is our follow-on, the video that was released yesterday on the web. We're taking a look at WikiLeaks, which is the organization that leaked it. I think it's a very interesting moment for them. They're gaining a lot of notoriety because of the Baghdad video. As Ian pointed out, they've put up the raw footage, which is 38 minutes. They've also put up an edited version, which is what many people are seeing, and there are already people in the Army and elsewhere saying that this actually distorts what actually happened there.
Do we have a judgment whether that's true or not?
I cover television, so I cover reality TV, and the film made me think a little bit differently about reality TV, because I assume it's all fake. I assume it can't be real. But what this film showed me is that if you go in as a journalist and you want to create something that's real, and you want to actually show people's real lives, you can. Because what I see in the film is very true. Even when it's unflattering, it's very true to what we do every day.
If you think of the history of these institutions, Watergate, Abu Ghraib, I think we're at a dangerous moment in American journalism.
Some stories are beyond the database. Sometimes people have to walk past the conventional wisdom.
This movie really captures the pulse of what's going on now in terms of media and technology and just the changing of this world. I mean, how do you think the film would be different if it were made 5 years in the past or maybe 5 years in the future?
Well, I think you'd hear less, if it was made in the past, you'd hear a lot less about the relationship between the Times and its sources. In this film, we talk a lot about WikiLeaks and the relationship between the Times, which is a traditional journalistic outlet, and WikiLeaks, which is both a source and a publisher of information. It really reflects the notion that online, everybody in the world can be a publisher. And that changes the role of the Times into being even more of an editor than it ever has been before. In the future, that might be even more the case. It's hard to say.
In 5 years in the future, I think we're still going to be wrestling with some of the same questions. I think we're trying to get some people to pay for the product, but who knows what's going to happen with digital media and advertising dollars. The film ends on a triumphant note, but I think a lot of the struggles you see in the film that are faced by the Times and the Washington Post, mainstream media, you're going to continue to see those.
Last question, I mean, do you still feel like there's a place for the serious type of journalism that we see in the New York Times, or is that, can we pass that off to internet?
The one thing I'd like to caution people about the film is I hope they don't see it as the New York Times versus the internet, the New York Times versus the digital world. We have an incredibly popular website, and I hope people look at it as a certain kind of boots-on-the-ground journalism that, obviously we feel is very useful. It gives people an idea of what's going on, not only in this society, but around the world. But that kind of journalism is practiced in many, many places, including online, including television shows like this, including other newspapers. So I hope, whether or not the New York Times were to survive, I think the film makes a pretty effective argument that that kind of journalism should survive, and it's too easy to classify that as newspapers versus digital media. I think that argument is over. This kind of journalism is everywhere.
Right, it's not about newspapers surviving, it's about newsrooms surviving. And that's what's important, is the people in the building, not the building itself. I can't imagine ever having a time where that's not valuable.
The agenda.
The New York Times has dozens of bureaus all over the world, and we're going to toss that out and kick back and see what Facebook turns up. I don't think so.
I'm Bruce Headlam.
And I'm Brian Stelter, and you're watching Real Black. Cool? All right.